Hello, my name is Ingar Zach. I'm a musician from Norway, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background. I started playing percussion at the age of 7. Well, I had started before that actually, but I auditioning for the school band, because in Norway, where I'm from, there's always a school band attached to each school, so you can audition for the instruments. And there was no way I'm not gonna audition for any other instrument than percussion. So that was before that I actually used my mom's cushions and pots and pans. So they were relieved that I got in as a percussionist in the school band at age 7. And there I actually started basic training, and it was more like a snare drum technique. That was the basic starting point there. And I was very lucky there because I had two very nice teachers, two girls actually, who taught me actually a good basic technique, which has actually served me well up till now, because I've never had any problems with tendinitis or muscle problems whatsoever. So this was actually I would say actually they were my best teachers ever in percussion. Then after playing in the school band until I was 18, on the side of that I was really interested in jazz and classical music, because I grew up in a house where there were music constantly, but not my mom and dad played any instruments. My dad just played records all the time. And that was in the jazz tradition. And then I started at the age of 12, I was demanding to get a drum kit in the house. And I also started a prog rock band because I was a fan of all the Genesis, at least all Genesis and Yes music, with all this long stretch symphonic rock. Phil Collins was my hero at age 15. And I started actually this prog rock band at the age of 12 together with my guitar friend. And from then on, all the influences we had, from Frank Zappa to Genesis, on all this jazz music we heard, we started moving, at least the guitar player and me, towards more a jazz approach in our playing. And finishing high school, I had the opportunity to either go to study music or to go and do something else. I obviously chose to study music, but before that I just took 1 year off and just continued playing and had a normal job on the side. Then I entered in university, studied musicology a couple of years, and also working as a musician on the side. And in the musicology department I also got into a folk music group. It was quite successful in Norway. A big band actually, playing Norwegian traditional folk music, but on traditional instruments, not like the normal folk instruments in Norway. Arranging, and also with various influences from different styles. And after the musicology studies in Oslo at the university, I entered the jazz conservatory in Trondheim, which is in the middle of Norway. And I went there for 3 years. And this was or is still quite a famous school, where there have been graduated many very good musicians from in improvisation and jazz. And basically this school was very famous because it had quite open philosophy of how to actually learn to play jazz music, or actually to go deep inside your own expression. They were very open-minded towards all the students, and from the students that graduated there, they're all from classical players, folk music players, avant-garde rock, jazz, and also pop singers have gone there. And this basically it gives you a lot of time to investigate what you really want to do musically, and basically they give you a place and a studio and different to actually start your projects together with your fellow students. So you have a bunch of time to do that. So it can also be actually difficult for someone who doesn't really know what to do there, but it's your responsibility to take action and actually do your own projects. Even though I studied jazz there, I actually felt that I wasn't so comfortable in the jazz idiom. I mean, I could play jazz, and but I didn't really feel comfortable in the role that the drummer had in this traditional music. So I was looking for something else, and I actually applied for a exchange in Stockholm at the high school there, and I was there for 3 months, and that's where I can say basically it's changed me, and it's the reason where I am today because of these 3 months in Stockholm, where I met different kind of musicians outside actually the conservatory in Stockholm, who were dedicated to freely improvised music and other kinds of experimental attitudes towards music. And it was meeting with them and also the fellow students that I met there that started my career in actually breaking down all the types of the ways I've been playing percussion until then, and trying to start from scratch to actually create something of my own. So a bit about how I got into what I'm doing now as an experimental musician. It was, as I said before, in Stockholm, when I went from an exchange from Trondheim for 3 months. In the beginning, I didn't know. I just wanted a change, because I was a bit tired of the same putting myself in the same situations musically in the jazz tradition, which I could do, but I felt maybe not so free. I was looking for something else. And I said, okay, there's possibility for an exchange in Copenhagen, Stockholm, or Helsinki. So, Stockholm. I went to Stockholm. And a friend of a friend told me that there's a room for rent for nothing. And this guy, he's a piano player. But this piano player, he was studying something else. I think he was studying philosophy or something. And but he was interested in composition and also experimental music. So he said to me, "Oh, you shouldn't only go to the traditional high school there, because I don't think. I mean, I know the pianists and the teachers there, and they are into some kind of tradition, just like I had experience in Trondheim as well. They were something that I already have been exposed to. I was looking for something else. So he recommended me to contact this drummer or a musician called Raymond Strid. He's a percussionist. Actually, when I met him and started to play with him first time, I was kind of surprised, because there was a totally different approach to the sound, and also to the way of playing the drum set. I mean, his drum set was not only the normal composition of tom, snare, and bass drum and cymbals. It was a bunch of things with wood blocks, small things that he's collected for many years. He was a total sound freak, I would have to say. And the way he played the percussion was in a way that was totally different to me. It was in a free way. I mean, he expressed himself with. He could play timbres, notes, tones, and he hardly played any beats, which is normal for a drummer. It was just a way of actually creating a audio environment was totally different from what I was experienced with. And then he said to me, I remember he said to me, I had just had a snare drum and he had his whole kit, so he kind of beat me there with the sound-wise. But I went there with a friend who was also from the high school in Stockholm, who's also very interested in meeting him. He didn't know about him. He was a guitar player. And both of us were just stunned by the experience of playing with him, because he didn't tell us to do anything. He said, just keep control of what you're doing, think about it, just listen to the sound and go with the flow, in a way. And so after going out of the first meeting with me and my friend guitar player saying, hey, why don't we do this at high school? We should ask him. Yeah, he said, yeah, we tried that to bring these teachers into the high school, but there wasn't so much interest in it. But I don't know if there was the students who wasn't interested in it, or actually the institution itself. That could be, that I don't know. But anyway, so what I can recommend, what's very important for me is obviously the thing that what I couldn't get at the institution, there's also a world outside of the institution, which I think always has to be the musicians that are searching or finding new ways to making music are always on the outside of the institutions. The institutions always, I feel that they come later in trying to hook up with what is really going on, which has to be like that because institutions actually deal with history and development in music. So I think it's important that the institutions can be open to actually bring in musicians from now, from this day and age, to actually come in and talk about their work, and also for the teachers there to actually learn about what's going on in the field that they also can take advantage of in their teaching. So that was really what's happened to me, that when I got to know this kind of possibility to express and make music freely in that kind of way, it was such a clear and actually an amazing experience, like emotionally, that there was no way I was going back to doing something else. This was the way I'm going to start all over again, breaking down my drum set to try to find my own voice and try to make music from a different point of view.